Hello and welcome to Behind the Woman. I'm your host, Dr. Johanna Rogers. The Buffalo City School District is the second largest school district in the state of New York. This district is responsible for educating 32,000 children. At the helm is Dr. Tonja Williams. She is working to create an inclusive environment for every child in the district. But there's more to Dr. Williams than just leading Buffalo schools. So put your phones on Do Not Disturb and gather your friends, because this will be an episode of Behind the Woman you do not want to miss.
This program is brought to you by the members of WCNY. Thank you. JP Morgan Chase is proud to be a corporate sponsor of Behind the Woman. JP Morgan Chase, building on investments and helping to drive inclusive growth by committing to advance economic growth and opportunity.
I got a good feeling. Yeah, I'm up on the cloud, ain't coming back down. A good feeling, yeah. Yeah, I'm up on the cloud, ain't coming back down.
Hi, Dr. Williams.
Hi, Dr. Rogers. I like saying that.
I like saying that, right?
The doctors are in the house. That's right.
The doctors are in the house.
It's a wonderful thing.
It is a wonderful thing. Mm-hmm. And I just want to say thank you for the work that you're doing.
Thank you for having me on your show. Thank you.
Absolutely.
You know, I love what I do.
Do
I
you?
do. I really do.
Because sometimes, especially in this era, we ask teachers and folks are like running out the door.
Yeah. It's really hard. And so, you know, I have great respect for folks that realize that, you know, maybe it is not their passion and they go running out the door because the stakes are so high. You know, it's children's lives. So I love the fact that every day the work that I do has the ability to not only change the lives of the children who we serve now, but for generations to come. You know, because if you change one child's life, sometimes generations that follow are changed also.
What is the hardest part of your job?
32,000 children.
32,000 children.
You know, the difficult parts are more operational issues. It's never the children. It's never the children. It's just that, you know, it's a big responsibility because I care. Yeah. I really care. It's not just a job. It's not just business as usual. Right. It's very, very personal for me.
If there, I don't know who you would go to, maybe it was the state of New York, maybe if you went down to Washington, D.C., and you could gather folks and say, we need to make this change in education. And you actually had the power to be like, we are changing this aspect of it. What would be the one thing you would alter?
More resources for literacy, because I believe that, you know, reading, children being able to read proficiently has the ability to open doors. You can almost learn anything if you can read proficiently. And so we're doing a lot of work in literacy, especially at our earlier grade levels, because, you know, up until third grade, you're learning to read. But after third grade, you're reading to learn. And so if you don't get what you need by third grade, it's difficult.
And you know, it's been a long time since I was in third grade.
Me too.
But I remember Mrs. Sharkey very clearly in her shoes.
Yeah.
I do. And when you said that, I was like, oh, I've been reading to learn since that time. I never really thought about it. But the young people, our babies from preschool to third grade right now, there's so much technology. There's so much AI. cursive is obsolete almost. What are some of the things that you see happening around literacy that you think could help? Because I'm wondering, with these young people, with everything so automated.
Everything, even learning to tie a shoe, everything is Velcro and everything is so
I didn't
easy.
even think about that. Right.
Watches, you don't really have to learn anymore to tell time because, everything is read right for you on your Apple Watches. So, but I encourage our teachers and our children, because true scholars will still have hardcover books. I do think that technology has the ability to be a tool that can be used, but not to completely substitute just the ABCs of reading and writing. And writing cursive, it's really important.
Right.
It's really important. And I've run into adults that have difficulty reading in cursive and writing in cursive.
Yeah, well, it's it's funny even now when I run into young people and the things like answering a telephone or just things that just seem so.
Well, see, I probably am dating myself, and I'm probably a little older than you, but, when I grew up, my parents knew who my friends were because we had one telephone in the house, and so you had to call the telephone that was in the house. And, now it's difficult for parents to manage who their children are talking to because, they socialize, they carry everything on their phones. And, you think about holidays and how you used to sit with photo albums and with your family and look at pictures. Well, everything now is, on the telephone. So
it's a different time. It's a different time. And I think when I sit down with folks, that's working with the young people, you get reminded, right? So what is something that the young people on a day-to-day remind you that you have to take
Oh my goodness. I mean, everything from just, taking a photo. I have a grandson that's 7, and I mean, the things that he can do with my cell phone amaze me. So, our young people are so much more advanced and so much more aware than I was at their ages. So, when I'm out and I'm in schools, I'm always amazed at our young people and how aware of community issues. They want to be seen, they need to be heard, they have a voice, and so we try to structure ways for them to be able to use their voice. So we lift up, those skills.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at how Dr. Williams is preparing students of today for the jobs of tomorrow with the WASED program that provides STEM opportunities to these very advanced students.
WASED is amazing. It is amazing. It was a program that was started by Steve Wozniak, thus the name WASED. And so he wanted to do something more, and to give back and to create career pathways for young people so that they get hands-on learning and training in the areas of STEM. So when I first became superintendent, I thought, what an amazing concept. Usually when you think of STEM, you think of high school, but I wanted to do something as young as kindergarten for our children, because that's really when you have to begin academic excellence and really preparing for the jobs of tomorrow. It begins in kindergarten. We are offering robotics, engineering, 3D printing, drones which are, they make me a little nervous at my age, but the children love the drones. Now, next year, we're looking at adding animation, artificial intelligence, and even cybersecurity. We've had STEM programs, here and there. The difference with this STEM program, though, is that, again, when we look at equity and we look at providing opportunities for every single one of our children, it doesn't matter what zip code you live in. It does not matter if you are a child that's been classified with a disability. Doesn't matter if English is your first language or not. all of our learners are exposed to the WASED curriculum. So whereas before we had, we had it here, we had it there, and if you were lucky enough to get in, then you were able to access it. But this allows access for all. The children don't really even fully understand all that they're learning right now, because this, is an early childhood school, and right now they're just having fun. And they're asking questions, their vocabulary is enhanced, they're using words like robotics, and it's just, it's really exciting to see. So in my day, it was more you sit and get, the teacher's in the front of the room, you just sit and you take notes, and that's how you learn. Not so much anymore, we're in a digital age. And our children as young as 2 years old are on iPads, and they learn how to maneuver, and the learning has to be relatable for them to really get it. And I think that, just today, hearing them explain about airplanes, it's one thing to sit and read about an airplane and all of the components of the airplane. Then it's another thing to kind of build one, to touch one, to see, what you've learned in action. So I think this is how our children learn. It was important to me, it certainly took a substantial amount of resources. It has been acknowledged that, Buffalo is a city that is very high poverty, and we are a district that is high poverty. And so, for many of our families, survival is where, where their basic needs are. And so to be able to come to school and to see magnetic robots that, you might not have ever been exposed to, how will you ever know if you're interested in something or can excel at it if you never have the opportunity to be exposed to it? This is where the jobs are. As the superintendent of a school district, I keep my ear to the ground on, what is it that employers are looking for from our graduates. And so it gives our students certainly an advantage if they're coming out of high school, whether they decide to go to college or not. And the careers, they're paying pretty nice money in these areas. And so just imagine if you've been exposed since you were 5 years old, to all of the different areas of STEM. And by the time you're ready to graduate, my goodness, you are ahead of the game. You're ready.
So, Dr. Williams, the students are reminding you of your your youth. You're doing a lot to prepare them for tomorrow. I want to talk to you a little bit about what you do outside of the school district. Like, who is Dr. Tonja Williams?
That's a heavy question.
Right?
Because Dr. Williams was not always Dr. Williams,
right? Yeah.
I grew up not very different from many of my students. I went through Buffalo Public Schools from kindergarten through 12th grade. And if you had asked me back then if I ever thought that I would ever even get into education, I probably would have said no. I really wanted to be a hairdresser.
Really?
That's what I really
That's
wanted
what you
to
thought? Now, did you go to cosmetology school?
Never. No, never. I started out actually in college as a sociology major, and I did a lot of counseling work. I was a marriage counselor. I did family therapy. And at some point, I was about 23 years old, and I decided I wanted to work at the college level. And so I applied for a position. It was in what we call the Higher Educational Opportunity Program.
Yeah, HEOP.
And HEOP. And so I had the responsibility of going out and recruiting students for the HEOP program. So they would send me to Brooklyn and Syracuse and
all the urban areas.
All of the urban areas. And what I found when I was out recruiting is that there were students that I was meeting in high school that had hopes and dreams of, doing amazing things, and in some cases were not prepared to even be considered for acceptance into the college. So I decided, I need to go back and do something before they get to the college level. So I decided to go back and get my master's in counseling education. So I became a guidance counselor.
I think one of the hardest things is getting young people to focus in on what you know they need, but they haven't figured out that they need it, right? And that's when in that HEOP time when students are trying to choose universities and they're picking out their dreams and having to sit them down and say, well, you know, you didn't necessarily do what you needed to do in order to get here, right? And I think that's sometimes a tough space. Or I imagine in your role, right, you see the conditions that create situations that keep the students from focusing on what they could or should.
It's a tough time. It's a tough time for our young people. You know, they've experienced a lot. And, you know, this pandemic has changed society. And so, you know, the isolation that young people experienced and being removed from, you know, just the structure and, you know, the traditional day-to-day going to school. And, you know, it's hard economically for families, you know, and it's very tough to go to school and focus on literacy if you've got toothaches or, you know, if your health is not well or, you know, if nutritionally, you know, you don't have the proper nutrition. It's tough. It's really tough. Our kids are dealing with a lot.
And in that dealing, what is it that you try to offer? You know, because we talk a lot about the students, but as superintendent, you're also, you know, thinking about the staff, the teachers, the other administrators that create the experience that are also dealing with some of the shifts.
I care about everybody. So 32,000 children and 8,000 staff every day. You know, and so we've tried to create almost a wellness condition for everyone. It's important to me. I have a little saying, and I used to use it when I was a principal, that if you don't feed the teachers, they will eat the children. And so I have to make sure, that our teachers are getting what they need. And so, you know, we were able to settle a teacher contract that had been outstanding for quite some time. And I wanted our teachers to know, you know, they are valued. They are highly respected. I wanted their salaries to be competitive to what, you know, their colleagues in suburban areas were earning. And so I really do try to find ways to pour in to our teachers and let them know that the work that they're doing is changing lives. Because, you know, my parents had not gone to college, but they certainly had an expectation that I was going. And that was very clear to me. You're going to college. It's not about if, it's where. It's where. And so, you know, I had to depend on folks who were in schools to help me navigate what I needed to do so that I was ready when the time came.
Well, you mentioned your parents. You mentioned coming up through the ranks as a counselor, you know, working in the HEOP program, so thinking about educational, what they call educational access, right? What do you think in your life has prepared you to lead in this way?
I think it is the way that I was raised. You know, I come from a blue-collar family, and there was pride in hard work, you know, being honest, treating people decently, and education was really important. And my dad, you know, he dropped out of high school and went to work in the steel mills, you know, and my mother, she worked for the post office for about 40 years. And she did go back and get her degree. In fact, we were in college at the same time. But that was interesting.
Y'all weren't in the same class.
No, I wouldn't have had that. No, we weren't in the same class. But, you know, but they instilled in both my sister and I that, You know, education is something that's really important, and it will never hurt you. It will never hurt you.
Right.
Yeah.
When you mentioned going to college with your mom, it made me think of another friend of mine, Dr. Nadrea Njoku, who also talked about sharing a campus experience. But she was a little person when her mom would take her to campus with her. How often do you think about your mom when you're in the school building, when you're thinking about the legacy of your work?
Every day. You know, I talk to my mom every day. She'll watch this show and say, "Why do you have your hair in your eyes?" And you should have, you know, she's a mom. And so every single day, and I never take for granted the sacrifices that my mother made. And, you know, even though I am fully adult and I have adult children and a wonderful grandson who's going to do amazing things, my goal has always been to make my parents proud. You know, and so if there was ever a time that I wasn't sure about doing something, if it was something I couldn't do in front of my parents or say in front of them, I tried not to. So, yeah, I think every day about, you know, my mom, and she is very proud. She wears it with, you know, a badge of honor that, you know, this is my daughter. And, you know, again, there was nothing extra remarkable about how I grew up. It was just about having expectations. Yeah,
when you said that and you think about where you are, you know, I'm just like, that is amazing. You don't often, I think we talked about this a little bit before you sat down on the couch, that, you know, you don't often see leadership within school districts from people that attended that same school district. You know, you might see, I grew up here, I moved here, but to be superintendent of the same district that you attended as a young person is pretty powerful as well.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
I grew up on the other side of the state, literally, and right outside of New York City.
Okay, I heard the accent.
And my question to you is, do you spend a lot of time talking with leadership in New York City about, like, do you have like a peer group? Like, are you friends with the superintendents down there? Because when they say the second largest school district in the state, I'm like, okay, well, who do you talk to? How do you balance? How do you check in when you're trying to make decisions?
I absolutely do.
Okay.
Within New York State, we have something that we call the Big Five. And it's the 5 largest school districts in New York State. And the superintendents and I, it's Syracuse, Rochester, Yonkers, Buffalo, and New York City. We do check in. We do. It's important, you know, but I have a great team, a great group of staff that, you know, we lift each other up. And that's important. I've got a great group of girlfriends, just girlfriends, you know, that that I've known for a long time. I've got a wonderful family.
Yeah, when you get probably the rare opportunity to step away from work, what do you like to do?
Oh, I like to do lots of things. Family time is really important to me. I enjoy reading. You know, I'm a voracious reader. I enjoy traveling. You know, I really like road trips. I really like road trips and seeing other places.
So if you could take your students anywhere.
All 32,000 of them, or just a couple?
Maybe a couple at a time. If there would be anywhere you could take the students of Buffalo, because travel is so important, seeing different places is so important. But if you could gift Buffalo City School District students, not all at the same time, but an opportunity to go somewhere, where would it be?
Probably Ghana. I've never been. But, you know, I certainly would love to go, and I do plan to go. It's on my bucket list. And to be able for students to experience, you know, a majority of our children are children of color. And for them to go and to be able to just experience what that's like would be nice.
That would be Okay, I just when you said that, it just imagines what the students could look like. Thank you, Dr. Williams, for joining me and allowing us to learn more about who you are and the work that you're doing for the district. If you would like to view this episode again or watch past seasons of the show, go to wcny.org/behindthewoman. Next time, join me as I sit down with Julie Snyder, the CEO of Forest Lawn Cemetery in Buffalo, to discuss her experience of running this historic cemetery, committed to preserving the legacy of its residents. My name is Dr. Johanna Rogers, and on behalf of the Behind the Woman team, thank you for watching.
This program is brought to you by the members of WCNY. Thank you. JP Morgan Chase is proud to be a corporate sponsor of Behind the Woman. JP Morgan Chase, building on investments and helping to drive inclusive growth by committing to advance economic growth and opportunity.
I got a good feeling. Yeah, I'm up on the cloud, ain't coming back down. I got a good feeling.